For the first time in Season 2, we welcome you to the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, coming to you live from Pocono Raceway right here on ESPN. We thank you all so much for making us a part of your evening as we get into Season 2 for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series at Pocono. Just started qualifying right now as we work our way into the start of what is going to be an absolutely incredible, fantastic season all the way around. As we have drivers on track right now setting times. My name is Frank Marchese, and I will be taking you once again through the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series season. As a lot of new names, a lot of the same names here as well, but these new names that we've seen quite a bit here on ESPN here recently are going to be putting up one heck of a charge. We've seen guys like Michael Sturgel, like Bentley Glazer, who we see on screen right now. We saw other guys last year, 2 weeks ago in the Indy 50-50. Guys like Rick Ravon, who came in at the end of last year. He's going to get a full campaign this year. Jason Duckworth, he was a part of that race. Mike Grandy Sr. was a part of that race. As Chris Simard right now currently sitting on the pole. He gets one lap in on time. Here's Dan Brazington coming across the line here to complete his second lap, and Brazington just off the mark, not by much. Jeff Hollingsworth crossing the line. Fastest first half of the lap. Does not improve on his second half personally, but does get the second fastest time. And the man we were just talking about, Bentley Glazer, goes right to the top, and he's immediately supplanted by the driver of the 66, Jeffrey Roulette, looking to take the first pole of the season. Now, there are going to be some very familiar names here, not just to this series, but to ESPN. Again, Bentley Glazer in this series now. We saw him finish second in the Western States race last night at Bristol. Other guys coming over from that Western States race, guys like Ron Hollifield here in the number 1 coming over from Western States. Jackson Bell, who we saw put on a great performance last night in Western States. He is going to be in the number 2 as Butch Davis coming through turn 3 to complete his final qualifying lap. And Davis goes third fastest with a 42.24. And now switching over to the man, Chris Walker, who missed the end of last season after an unfortunate accident. Back in the car for the 50-50 at Indianapolis 2 weeks ago, and we could not be more thrilled because that was a surprise entry for us, at least that 50-50 race. And to see him back and ready to go for this season is nothing short of amazing, and we absolutely love that Chris Walker is back. Right now there is only one driver on track. 33 cars will take the grid here tonight. As the only man on track right now is this man, Timothy Bates. It's again the winner of the series opener at Auto Club last season in that number 6 for RDR. Looking to see what he can do. This is coming to the end of his first lap. And Bates goes 28th quickest. Only 2 drivers now have not set a time. Michael Bourne and Kevin O'Brien. Those are the only 2 drivers yet to set time here tonight. We still have a good 4.5 minutes to do so. Bates making through the tunnel turn, expecting to be full throttle for a vast majority of this lap, expecting also 25 to 30 laps on a fuel tank around here. As Bates coming across to finish his second lap, he will jump up into the 26th position. Does the pilot of the number 6. And with 3.5 minutes to go, we can take a second here to really properly welcome you to this upcoming season. It is going to be an incredible season. It is going to be a fun season. 16 tracks on the schedule this year compared to the 11 that we had last year, and a vast majority of them are not going to be at the current racetracks. This here is Legacy Pocono, from at least what I thought I saw. Kentucky next week. I believe Legacy Silverstone is on the calendar for race number 3 of the year. So this is going to be an incredible season, and a season that you are not going to want to miss. As it looks as though Jeffrey Roulette is going to sneak out the first pole award of the season. Pardon me, here with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left in this qualifying session. So as we wait for this session to draw to a close here, you're going to be seeing a lot of new names that we are going to be highlighting. Of course, Bentley Glazer, just missing out on the pole here tonight. Tyler Bloom, we saw him at the 50-50 race at Indianapolis. Rick Ravon came in at the end of last season. He now gets a full campaign. Darren Ganji in the number 51. He is brand new to the series. Mike Grandy Sr., we saw him at the 50-50 race at Indianapolis as well. And I was wrong. Okay, so this is this is the current Pocono, and we go to the regular Pocono next week. I thought I saw a schedule that had all the legacy tracks on there. That's my bad on that one. So we go to Pocono, Kentucky, and then Monza to start this season off before we get a break coming up at the end of February. So an incredible season coming up this season. Just going through some more of these new names. Again, Jackson Bell, who we saw last night make his debut in the Western States Racing League, came home in 4th position last night. Matt Arrington is brand new to the series. Kyle Milliken, he'll be in the number 42 tonight. He is brand new to the series. Jason Duckworth, who we saw at the 50-50 race. Bob Lacavara is no stranger to ESPN cameras, having been with Paskey's for quite some time. Ron Hollifield as well, being a part of the Western States Racing League. So there are names that you will recognize here as far as new names to the series, but old names to the network, as we are getting set to wind down the qualifying session here. Just 10 seconds remaining in the first qualifying session. So 31 drivers take time, and it will be Jeffrey Roulette who takes the first pole position of the season for the season opener here at Pocono Raceway. Bentley Glazer will start right next to him. Butch Davis and Chris Samard will make up row 2. Row 3 will go to Jeff Hollingsworth and Dan Brazington. Row 4 going to Mark Walker and Tyler Vickery. Row 5 and rounding out the top 10 will be Tyler Bloom and Nate Seifker. Row 6 going to William Fletcher and Rick Ravon, which I think this is the lowest we've seen Ravon qualify since joining Sim Racer's Edge. Darren Ganji and Chris Walker make up row 7. Row 8 going to Michael Sturgel and Paul Crumry. Mike Grandy and Charles Woods in row 8. Row 9 going to Carl Burke and Brett Beasley. Yari Brupatcher and Jackson Bell in row number 11. Row 12 will be Matt Arrington and Ernie Ludwig. Row 13 will be Johnny Antonucci and Timothy Bates. As row 14 will go to Kyle Milliken and Jeffrey Bogan. Row 15 will be Jason Duckworth and Bob Lacavara. Ron Hollifield will start in the 31st position, the last driver to set time. Kevin O'Brien will sit with him on the 16th row, and Michael Bourne will sit on the 17th row, the 33rd and final driver on the grid here tonight. So as we get set to go, the pace car will be rolling off here momentarily. Would like to get you really quick here as we wait for the pace car to roll off to begin the opening race of this season. Would like to thank our series sponsors here tonight. First for the network, it'll be diecastnuts.com. Diecastnuts.com is a community site for people who love diecast, whether you want to post your collection, view other members' collections, or buy or trade to add to your own collection. Diecastnuts.com is the #1 place to go. Other automotive memorabilia is available as well. That's Nuts with a Z, diecastnuts.com, or find them on Facebook by searching Diecast Nuts. Tonight's race is also sponsored by Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is one of the leading setup builders for the iRacing community. Find dirt and asphalt setups, tuning guides, fuel sheets, and much more at rocketracingsetups.com. And the series sponsor, Turn Racing, which is merging the gap between sim sports and motorsports. Turn Racing provides top-flight sim racing equipment to help enhance your sim racing experience. Turn Racing also offers a full racing guide to help better your skills and put you a step above the rest. Head on over to turnracing.com to take your sim racing equipment and ability to a professional level at an affordable price. So the field working its way into turn number 3 for the first start of the new year. Have 160 laps here tonight at Pocono. A fuel stint expected to go about 25 to 30 laps, depending upon how well you can save your fuel and tires. Pace car is coming off. We are about to go racing. Green flag is in the air. Season 2 for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series is underway. There is a caution already. As we try to look back and see what could have happened. Worth noting that Timothy Bates decided to start on pit road. And I'm not seeing an incident that would have started this, as we'll take a look back and see if we can see anything. I'm not seeing what could have caused that. So in any event, that is caution number 1 for this new season. There's a couple of guys taking to pit road. Leave Butch Davis and Jeffrey Roulette, a couple of the pit road takers. Or actually, no, pit road would not be open yet. Sorry, things a little discombobulated here. No, Jeffrey Roulette's the race leader here, so we'll try to... A little bit of an issue with timing and scoring at the moment here, and showing that, well, my timing and scoring at least is showing Roulette and Davis in 23rd and 24th. Clearly they are P1 and P2. So see Jeff Hollingsworth possibly making a move to pit road. No, he will stay out. Tyler Vickery, however, in the number 24 VSM Racing machine, does decide to come into pit road, and from what I can see, he is the only one. Ernie Ludwig in as well. Looks like Kinetic Racing on the side of his Dallara IR-18. For Ernie Ludwig. Now, Johnny Antonucci. Oh, there's Johnny Antonucci. Okay. So I think now we might be able to see a little better what happened. Oh, yep, there it is. It looked as though it was Jeffrey Bogan and Johnny Antonucci. And, oh, yep, there you go. And we were able to see for a split second what happened there is there's Jeffrey Bogan's Dallara all torn up. These guys do have one fast repair for tonight's race, so those guys are not done. However, they certainly are on the back foot. As now timing and scoring has righted itself. You can see Roulette laying quite a ways back from the pace car here. Pace speed is 75. For the circuit tonight. Working lap 3 here. We did not make it through the first corner before we got our first caution of the year. And that is part of the issue with Pocono, especially in these Indy cars. These cars move so quick. And turn 1 does tend to be a funnel as far as the racing line is concerned. So that can cause a couple of issues as we get set to go back to green flag racing here this time. For those of you who are new to the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, there are no double file restarts here in the series. It is single file, just as it would be in old NASCAR and in IndyCar racing. So single file restarts can only pass on the outside. So that is your restart procedure here for the series. Lap cars will go to the back of the line, which right now there are a couple of lap cars, including, as you would expect, Johnny Antonucci and Jeffrey Bogan, who were a part of that incident to open up the race. So it'll be Jeffrey Roulette. Butch Davis made up a spot on the race start. Jeff Hollingsworth, Mark Walker, Nate Siefker made it 5 spots up in that number 22. Haven't mentioned Siefker just yet here today, but Nate is on his title defense, as it would be, winning the championship in season 1, including sweeping all of the road courses last season. So Nate is certainly going to be looking to defend that title. With the quality of competition in the series this year, that is certainly going to be a tough ask. So Jeffrey Roulette will lead them down around the outside line. Pace car is off, and we are racing once again here from Indianapolis. A little bit of a slow start as Nate Siefker, you saw him dive right to the inside to avoid running over the 00 of Mark Walker, already fanning out here on the front straightaway, and it's Butch Davis to the race lead. Jeff Hollingsworth trying to follow through, maintaining his 3rd position, as he squeezes Mark Walker to the wall coming out of turn 1. A little bit further back as we'll see if Jeffrey Roulette can take the lead and will into the tunnel turn. That will also open up the door for Jeff Hollingsworth to get in. That outside line, you can run it here at Pocono, especially in turn 3. Turn 2 is going to be the most difficult place to try to run that outside line here, as we're seeing a 3 abreast battle, now 3 wide battle down the front straightaway. That's Dan Brazington pulling in front of Tyler Bloom in that teal number 96. Right behind him, Darren Ganji in the 51 now, looking for a move on the inside line. We'll try to take that position going into the tunnel turn. And there's a car in the wall in the back. Trying to see who that was, I believe. As the caution comes out, I think it was Will Fletcher. And it was Will. I mean, that was a case of just pushing up a little too much. Coming through, and yep, he's already wrecked. And oh my goodness, I believe that is the 12 of Grandy. That came up and ran him over from behind. And yep, there's Grandy again. Try to go back a little bit farther here to see what happened. Yeah, he just pushed up too high, and then, yep, there's the 12 of Grandy. And for Grandy, depending upon whether or not he has any form of toe issue with that number 12, Grandy might just need, and we'll sneak on board with Grandy. No, he looks as though, well, I'll say that's a toe issue, as typically the right front tire doesn't look like that. So that is a fast repair for sure for the pilot of the number 12, Mike Grandy. Now, had that not happened, that could have been just a wing repair for the 12, and he might have been able to save his fast repair. A couple guys, Nate Siefker, Rick Ravon, I believe Bentley Glazer as well, and that number 87 deciding to stay out. One taker to pit road, however, is the number 3 of Paul Crumry, part of OGR this season, with Jeff Hollingsworth and Charles Woods. As we work our second caution of the race on lap 8 of this 160 lap event. Seeing also here under this caution, there might have been an issue with the 11 of Bob Lacavara at some point here, and my racing's not going to be nice. It's not going to show us what happened to Bob. So we've had 3 cars involved in incidents tonight, and only 4 of the 33 drivers that have taken the grid tonight have already used their one and only fast repair. Jeffrey Bogan being one of them, Will Fletcher being another, the 12 of Mike Grandy taking a fast repair tonight as well. And Jeffrey Bogan pardon me, Johnny Antonucci taking fast repairs tonight. So we'll get set to go green flag racing here at the end of this lap. Reset the top 5. It'll be Butch Davis, Jeffrey Roulette, Jeff Hollingsworth, Mark Walker, and Nate Seifker. The top 5, only position changes over the 2 laps that we ran under green would have been Butch Davis and Jeffrey Roulette, swapping first and second. Now there are a couple of rules tonight as far as race etiquette goes for these drivers. One of them being that the Indianapolis Snake has been banned from tonight's race, as it tends to be on all big tracks here in this series, which means, in listening in on the driver's briefing, you can come out of turn 1, go down to the yellow line on Long Pond, and then come back up to take your line into the corner. That is allowed. But if you start weaving down Long Pond or down the front straightaway to try to break the draft, that is not allowed and will result in a penalty. So one of the racing etiquette rule changes from this year to last. I believe they had it at the Indy 500, but there might have been a lap restriction where that came off, if I remember right. I haven't gotten many things right tonight, so that could be another one added to the list of wrong. As the pace car ducks off yet again, looking for a more solid start out of the front. We get it. And Butch Davis out to a big jump right away. So we are back to green flag racing. Rick Ravon and Chris Simard battling here in the midfield. That is for the 6th position. Ravon now swings up in front of Simard, still leaving the door open for Bentley Glazer. Down low in that red number 87. We saw Glazer take the pole last night and finish 2nd in Western States. First time we are seeing him. We saw him compete not for too long, though, in the 50-50 race in Indianapolis 2 weeks ago. And certainly a guy who is going to be a favorite for this championship is the driver of the 87. You can see these guys already pushing up off the corner as the battle for the lead continues to rage on, as Butch Davis retakes the lead away from Jeffrey Roulette. Jeff Hollingsworth still there. Mark Walker, as I think we're having an issue in the back. And yep, there it is. Chris Walker and Tyler Bloom, and caution is out. It's Tyler Bloom in the 96. You just saw him flash to pit road. Chris Walker trying to take his damaged Voodoo Racing Dallara back to pit road under its own power. Looks like he will. We will see what happened here to bring out what would be a 3rd caution of the night. Into the tunnel turn. There's a collision between, that looks like Brett Beasley and Tyler Bloom, and Chris Walker, unfortunately, just caught up in it. See, here they go into the tunnel turn. That is Brett Beasley on the inside. But it looked like Beasley came up a little bit. Boy, and Bloom's a passenger at that point. As we are now under our 3rd caution of the evening here, working lap 12, about to tick over to lap 13 of 160 laps here tonight. Pit lane open, still no takers here just yet. Again, you can expect to go between 25 and 30 laps on a tank of fuel here. An 81% fuel fill for the drivers here tonight. As you can see the wonderful pixelated scenery around the outside of Pocono Raceway. The interior road course, boy, that would have been nice to be able to drive. This is, again, it's a huge racetrack. Over 2 miles is Pocono Raceway, and there's a lot of stuff you can fit in the middle. iRacing's certainly done a fantastic job, as they always do, with how the track drives, how the track races, as we see the Tuttle turn entrance flash up there. So top 5 still remaining the same. It is Butch Davis, Jeffrey Roulette, Jeff Hollingsworth, Mark Walker, and Nate Siefker. The top 5: Rick Ravon, Bentley Glazer, Chris Samar, Darren Ganji, and Dan Brazington round out the top 10. Biggest mover of the race thus far tonight. It is a two-way duel between this man right here and the number 18 of Jason Duckworth out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, for RDR Racing, and Michael Bourne. Both drivers up 11 positions from their starting spots. Michael Bourne in that number 19. As I believe we are getting ready to go back racing here. We are at the end of this lap. I'd like to remind you that coming up on ESPN, now this graphic might not be sized properly, and it's not, unfortunately. Coming up on ESPN, the USRA Cup Series and the Dirty Old Bastards 410 Sprint Car Series. A double dip tomorrow night. USRA Cup Series broadcast will go live at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time with me and possibly Byron Rodney in the booth tomorrow night. And Sam Cooper Bennett will be in the booth at USA International for the Dirty Old Bastards 410 Sprint Cars Series coming up tomorrow night. On Friday will be round 4 of the iRacing East Super Speedway Series at Daytona. And then on Saturday will be the eFormula 3.5 Series at Spa-Francorchamps. As the pace car getting set to duck on off, we are back to green flag racing here for Pocono, working lap 15 of 160. A great start from Butch Davis. It's not fanning out quite as aggressively as they had been over the start of this race. Rick Ravon moving his way up towards the front, trying to make a power move around Nate Siefker on the outside in turn 1, having to let off to avoid running it into the fence coming out of T1. Ravon now trying to reset to put up another move. Yari Brupatcher in the number 89 with Jackson Bell behind him. Really pushed up there in turn 3 did Yari Brupatcher, had to let off to avoid hitting Michael Sturgel in the number 90. And that let off is really going to hurt him. That allows Jackson Bell around him. Dan Brazington just in front, working on Darren Ganji in the 51. And we're going to be seeing that a lot early here tonight. Guys really pushing up off of turns 1 and turns 2 once they figure out how to work it, how to work the tires, how to work the car. Then it should be a little bit better as, boy, you see Brasington getting really close to that wall coming out of turn number 3. Sets up for a good run, though, on Ganji. Again, this for the 9th position between these two. Brasington trying to get that run. Unfortunately cannot. That outside line looks to be a little bit stronger. Coming out of 1 and 2 is now Mark Walker starting to lose positions in that double zeros. The top 5 right here. Nate Siefker catches the wall a little bit coming out of turn 2. Doesn't look like it hurt him too badly, though. See if we can spot any damage as we ride along with Mark Walker in the double zero. The wrong side, unfortunately. As you see Jeffrey Roulette going for the race lead in turns 1 and in turn 1, pardon me. So you say in turns 1 and 2. As Davis making that move work on the outside. Jeff Hollingsworth trying to make a pass on Jeffrey Roulette now. And this is, boy, side by side through the tunnel turn. Always gets sketchy in these cars. Hollingsworth able to make the move stick. Nate Siefker now around the outside of turn 3. He will make the move stick. Look at the run that Siefker got coming off of turn 3. And he will make the pass on Jeff Hollingsworth. So the reigning defending champion up 8 spots from his 10th place starting spot. Into second place, looking for that race lead as this battle rages behind him. Would call this a 5-car battle here. For the 4th position is now Rick Ravon trying to get under Chris Samard. And boy, Samard makes a big move on Mark Walker. Just looks like you're going to need a little bit of a tow to try to help you make some of these passes. Coming down the front straightaway, as we saw, Samard got a great run as Ravon pokes out. And will make the pass going into the tunnel turn, pushing wide up on Chris Samard. Rick Ravon, the winner of the 50-50 at Indianapolis, so we have a caution out on track. So we'll see what happened. This might be, yep, there is the 42 of Kyle Milliken. Try to see what happened to him. As Milliken on pit road. He's battling with Jason Duckworth and just pushed up. Wow, that's a hard hit on the inside of the car. McMillican just pushes a little too far up, and this is the time where you might see some pit strategy come in here. We're working on lap 21. Again, estimated being 25 to 30 laps on a tank of fuel. So will we see cars entering pit lane here? I think we will, and yes, we are. As Butch Davis fakes them out. Jeffrey Roulette stays out as well. Those are the only two that stay out. I think that's Tyler Vickery. Oh no, that's Mike Grandy in the 12 that was able to stay out. So a little bit of a difference in pit strategy. Here under this, our fourth caution of the night. Nate Siefker's already down and away. Clean pit stops for all. Mark Walker losing a couple of spots on pit road, but it appears as though other than that, about as clear as you like. On pit road. So we will take a brief commercial break here as we work our fourth caution here for the opening race of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series at Pocono. We'll be right back after this. Getting set to go back, green flag racing here for the season opener for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series here on ESPN. Butch Davis currently leading, Jeffrey Roulette, Mike Grandy, Timothy Bates, and Ernie Ludwig, who did not come onto pit road this last time around. Nate Siefker, who currently sits in the 8th position, is the first car on fresh tires and full fuel. And we are back to green flag racing here as Timothy Bates already trying to make a move on Mike Grandy in the 12. On the outside of turn 1. Just cannot quite make the move, as you're going to see these guys in the back. There's Jeff Hollingsworth going for what we would say is the effective race lead. Again, the guys in front did not pit, and now Walker involved in another one. Oh, they're right in the middle of the track. Not sure who that was in the middle of the track. I think that might, no, he's fine. We'll see what happened with Chris Walker. Boy, the slightest of touches. On board, just how quick you go around and how hard you hit the wall. And unfortunately for Walker, that will end his race, already having used a fast repair here tonight, and that should pretty well call it wraps for Chris Walker's race, unfortunately. Trying to think of, trying to see who it was that was wrecking with him. Might have been the 26 of Ernie Ludwig. It was. As Ludwig has gotten his fast repair and is down and away. So we'll see if Butch Davis decides to come into pit road here this time. Looks as though Timothy Bates, no, Bates will stay out. Butch Davis, Jeffrey Roulette, Mike Grandy, and Brett Beasley up here in the top 5 have not yet pit. Timothy Bates has made a pit stop from what I can see on my timing and scoring. He says he's made 2 actually, it just doesn't show me a lap that he has come into the pits. The reason why we would call it an effective race lead is because when these top 5 drivers come into pit road for the first time, which really shouldn't be far from now, there are plenty of things you can do inside of these cars to help you save as much fuel as possible. You can turn the engine map way down to use as little fuel as possible. You can leave the car in 6th gear. So there is a multitude of things that these drivers can do to save fuel under these cautions to try to extend the life of a fuel run. And with how many caution laps we've had through the first 5 cautions of the night, that also is helping a lot in allowing these guys to keep the track position that they had. The question is, and this is always the risk as far as a fuel strategy goes, is how long do you push it before you eventually do have to come into pit road? Then you're down and out track position, and if we do get a green flag run here, you're stuck making a pit stop under green flag conditions and putting yourself, not that you're already not on cycle with the rest of the field and the guys you've been racing with, but it also puts you about 30 to 40 seconds back. Pit delta around this racetrack is roughly 44.5, 45 seconds, depending upon how long your pit stop is. So from the time you enter pit road, take your pit stop and pit out is roughly 45 seconds. And talking between an 8 or a 9 second pit stop if you're coming in for tires and fuel. So that will certainly hurt you if you are, say, Butch Davis, Jeffrey Roulette, Mike Grandy, Timothy Bates, or Brett Beasley, where you haven't come into pit. If we get a green flag run here, you're giving away essentially a lap around here. It only takes 42 seconds to do a lap around here. Again, with a pit delta of roughly 45 seconds, you're a lap plus 3 seconds, at least, on pit road. So about to go green flag racing yet again. Butch Davis in the lead, Jeffrey Roulette. These two are the only two that have led laps tonight. Butch Davis starting third, Jeffrey Roulette starting from the pole. And with that, we are back to green flag racing here. From Indianapolis, top two get a good restart. Once again, it doesn't seem as though Grandy really gets off well. And that allows Timothy Bates to put the attack on. Because Grandy has that outside line, he's able to hold that position. Looking a little bit further back in the field. Looking at Dan Brazington, Yari Brupatcher, the two of Jackson Bell is in this mix. Used to be the 53 of Carl Burke is there as well. Get themselves sorted out. Paul Crumry, you see him there in the number 3 in the mix. As we head back up front now, Timothy Bates under pressure from Brett Beasley, who falls in line going into T1. Nate Siefker and Jeff Hollingsworth, Rick Ravon having a battle coming out of 1. Ravon has the preferred line in 1 and 3. Siefker lets him have it. Going into turn 2, and boy, a little bit of a wide exit there for the 0-0 of Mark Walker coming out of the tunnel turn. This is right at the back end of the top 10. A little bit further behind them, Dan Brazington is on the charge, back up towards the front. Michael Sturgel, his next victim, or his latest victim, pardon me. Darren Ganges, his next victim. As you can see, Brazington really working that outside line and has done it very, very well in that number 29, and he's gotten a great run on the 51 of Ganji. Even working that middle. Ooh. It's so dangerous to try to work that middle line in the tunnel turn, as we'll ride on board with Dan Brazington as he comes off of turn 3. Somewhat snaking a little bit, nothing too severe, just trying to break the draft. Watch the run he's going to get here through 1 and 2. As that middle line pushes up just a little bit. This exit not as good as the last for Brazington. Back up front, Rick Ravon starting to make moves. He's gotten around Timothy Bates, that for the 5th position. And now we'll set his sights on Brett Beasley as these two continue to jockey for the race lead. Or pardon me, this is for second between Jeffrey Roulette and Mike Grandy. Butch Davis, you see him there, the number 43, out to a 1.1 second lead on the rest of the field. You can see that gap now starting to form. The only issue is for these top 4 drivers of Davis, Roulette, Grandy, and Beasley, they need to come into pit road. And that opens the door for this man, the driver of the number 5, Rick Ravon, to take the lead. As Ravon, the first of the drivers that came into pit on lap 21. And what's helping these drivers up at the front, we've said with pit strategy that it could be 25 to 30 laps on a tank of fuel here. What's helping these guys is how many caution laps we've run. Setting the engine map as low as they can go to use less fuel on the pace laps. Slows the car down a little bit more. Put it in 6th gear so the revs are lower. Can even clutch it in these cars to essentially shut the engine off and put the engine in idle to use even less fuel. This battle here just outside of the, just at the very tail end of the top 10. Mark Walker is in the top 10. Darren Ganji in the 51 wants to get into the top 10. These two have run very comparable lap times to each other these last several times around. Ganji, though, could be dealing with some dirty air. Well, it's definitely dealing with some dirty air off the back end of that double zero. As this race is settled down now, and here's the race leader, Butch Davis, coming in. Boy, and we said with Butch that that might not have been the greatest decision for him to not come in during that caution on lap 21. And this is where it's bitten him now, because they've gotten that long green flag run. It's Chris Simard now getting around Rick Ravon in the number 77. Would have to expect now Roulette, who is your race leader, to be coming in here. There he is, coming into pit road. That will give the lead of the race to the driver of the 12, Mike Grandy. Now, Grandy's in an interesting situation. Grandy, involved in the second caution of the night, has used his fast repair, so he really can't afford to push this number 12 as hard as he maybe wants to. He's found himself on strategy in the race lead. Brett Beasley right behind him. These two drivers still need to pit. Now, Grandy can go a little bit longer, because again, Grandy, having taken his fast repair, would have gotten tires and fuel with that as well, so he was not as bad off on fuel as the two drivers ahead of him were. Leaves Chris Simard in the third position. Rick Ravon following behind him in fourth. Jeff Hollingsworth in the number 97 Coast Guard Dallara, rounding out the top five. Siefker right behind him has Mark Walker trying to get a tow. Siefker, though, has a great tow on Hollingsworth, and you see Ravon battling for that third position with Chris Simard, and both of those drivers will get that position. Ravon still having a fight with Simard. Simard having that preferred line on the outside. As we also have a battle for the race lead, as it will be Brett Beasley taking over the race lead, and the caution has come out. Try to see what happened here. As I'm hearing it's Carl Burke is the car who has had issues, and yep, they're the front nose cone off of that number 53. And we'll see how his front nose cone got in that state. Just looked like William Fletcher, that him and Fletcher racing together. It looks like Fletcher might have pushed up. Oh, no, that wasn't Fletcher. My apologies. Possibly have been Matt Arrington. It was Matt Arrington. See how close these two get, and then Burke just gets the good run coming through the corner. And Arrington going to be forced to use a fast repair. So that will leave Brett Beasley in the race lead. One would expect both Beasley and Grandy to come in right now to give Chris Simard the race lead. Unless these two have played the strategy perfectly and have now gotten everyone on the same strategy with them. They have, however, Nate Siefker decides to stay out, and he will lead a lap. Dan Brazington staying out as well. Yari Brupatcher also deciding to stay out. Butch Davis clearly as well staying out after coming in under green flag. Jeffrey Roulette doing the same. It's in and out of pit road. That looks like Kyle Milliken winning the race off of pit road in that Quaker State number 42. It certainly was Kyle Milliken winning the race off of pit road. And the rest of the guys in order in which they came in. So that will shake up the top of the order a little bit, as now Nate Siefker sits in the race lead. Show you the pit strategy for the drivers currently sitting in the top 5. Now these guys came in, the top 3, Siefker, Brazington, and Brupatcher came in under the caution flag at lap 21. Those two for Davis and Roulette, those are green flag stops for those two. Both of them managing to stay on the lead lap after those green flag pit stops. So as we work our 6th caution of the race, and about to tick over to lap 41, Bentley Glazer, you see him coming in. Now, Glazer had an issue under the last caution flag just prior to the green that put Glazer a lap down. This is what happened to the driver of the 87. Appears to slow to a halt, and then jump to pit road. So wondering if a possible rig issue for Bentley Glazer has put him a lap down. As right now, Glazer, the first car, 1 lap down. I believe Kevin O'Brien, if I saw it properly, I believe Kevin O'Brien, or pardon me, Tyler Vickery possibly was the one that got the free pass, as there you see Tyler Vickery in the 24. Sitting at the back of this line, so that would have meant his VSM number 24 got the free pass. So about to go green flag racing yet again here from Pocono. Nate Siefker, Dan Brazington, Yari Brupatcher, Butch Davis, Jeffrey Roulette, the top 5. As Siefker coming into the pits here? No, he couldn't be. He's actually going to take as low a line as he possibly can. No draft coming off of that 22 at all. Here's a unique way to start the race, Nate Siefker. And it's worked for him, certainly has. He's gotten out to a half a second lead as Yari Brupatcher trying to get around the 29 of Dan Brazington for second. Brupatcher really putting up a battle and gives up the position to Brazington. So Nate Siefker, with one of the more unique race starts we could have seen at Pocono, gets himself out to a half a second start, gets himself out to a half a second lead, pardon me, on that start. And with the success of that start, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that again. Not just from Nate, but from anyone else who has the lead as we see Rick Ravon, pardon me, getting around Brett Beasley. That was for the 7th position. Here's Butch Davis battling with Jeffrey Roulette in the 55. Roulette takes the position. 66. Wow. As Roulette now is going to look to turn that into a defense, but the run that Davis is going to get coming off of turn 3 could possibly propel him to the lead as he's got that line. Roulette was able to really stuff it into turn 1, but that's what happens if you stuff it into turn 1 here. You really have to let off to avoid knocking the wall down coming out of the corner. And that right there just cost Roulette big time. 5th position and about a half a second worth of time as now Butch Davis trying to work on Yari Brubpatcher, who currently occupies the 3rd position. And then there is a nice little gap to these two as the caution flag comes out, and a big wreck in the back as it looks like Timothy Bates has had a massive crash. Battling with Rick Ravon, just getting a little too close. He's going to try to turn. Oh, I don't know if he's trying to turn it here. No, he's not. Oh. Ernie Ludwig, Matt Arrington getting involved in that there. It's like a little bit of Ravon moving up, a little bit of Bates moving down, and then Bates just trying to hold the car as still as he possibly can. Ernie Ludwig, Carl Burke getting involved. Carbon fiber shards going everywhere. And that is all that is left. Trying to get a shot here, and you can see that's what the back end of these Dallara Indy cars looks like after you tear one of them up. So that will be caution number 6 here tonight. And we still have over 100 laps to go. I would be interested to see if Siefker to see if Siefker tries that restart again. It worked very well for him, but only for about a lap or two before Brazington really took back command, and he's not going to get a chance to try that restart again as he comes into pit road. Rick Ravon, we knew he was going to be coming in with the front wing damage on the number 5. Right on board with Ravon. You can see some front wing, and he's got quite a good amount of toe damage. Get the wing repaired. Will it be a fast repair? I would have to assume it's a fast repair for the driver of the 5. It is. And Ravon down and away. Able to lose minimal time and minimal positions because of that damage. So that will now leave the pole sitter, Jeffrey Roulette, with the race lead. Brett Beasley, Jeff Hollingsworth, Mark Walker, and Mike Grandy currently fill out the top 5. The first of the drivers that came into pit under that caution flag is Nate Siefker, who was in the race lead. Possible speeding penalty on entry, is still in pit road, and now he is going. Spent 1 minute and 6 seconds in his box. And I think Siefker's pulling off here. He's got it going now. So whatever the issue for Nate was, it has put him right to the back of the field. Now, my initial thought would be speeding on pit entry. However, he was in his box for 1 minute and 6 seconds. It takes only 8 seconds for fuel and tires in these Indy cars. That, and if you do speed on pit entry, it is a 40-second stop penalty. So I'm surprised as to whether or not that might have been an unforeseen possible rig issue that set Siefker way to the back of the field. Right now sitting in the 23rd position of the drivers that just pit now under this caution. This man right here, Dan Brazington in the 29, is the first of the drivers on fresh tires. Well, the freshest tires. 10-lap fresher tires, and the man who currently occupies the race lead right now, Jeffrey Roulette. As we come working through turn 3 to try to get us restarted here again. We thank you very much to anyone who is watching tonight's broadcast, whether it be on Facebook or on YouTube. Brought here by either a friend, coworker, whatever, or by the iRacing Live portal, as we are back to green flag racing here. Jeffrey Roulette gets a good jump as Brett Beasley right on the back end of that number 66. Jeff Hollingsworth, we saw him started in the 5th position, is up there now as well, was running in 3rd position for a majority of the first run, and is now back up here in the top, just outside of the top 5. That is Michael Sturgel, the number 90 for VSM that you see right in the middle of your screen. Behind them is a nice little battle between Paul Crumry in the 3, Jackson Bell, and Darren Ganji, as Ganji now is going to take both of them on the outside line coming out of turn number 3. And Paul Crumry will be able to successfully fend off Jackson Bell. Bell, however, gets a great run on the inside line. What a move by the driver of the 2, Jackson Bell, and he's going to try to take that momentum and get past both Crumry and Ganji. Ganji able to stick it on the outside, though. So Bell will get one move done, not both. This is a battle for the 7th position here between these 3. Again, Jackson Bell making his debut in the series, made his debut on the network last night, qualifying 2nd and finishing 4th at the Western States Racing League race at Bristol last night. See a little bit further back in the field, these are the guys that have been running up towards the front all night long, as that is Rick Ravon trying to get around Jason Duckworth. Duckworth in the 16th position right now, trying to fend off Yari Brupatcher. for RDR. That is Ron Hollifield now, who's getting passed by Rick Ravon. Hollifield, another competitor in the Western States Racing League. Hollifield up 16 positions from his 31st place starting spot, running in the 15th position. But of the drivers that pit under the last caution flag, here is Dan Brasington, just inside the top 10. Brasington still the first driver on the freshest tires. Looking back up to the race lead, Jeffrey Roulette has fallen off of the race lead. Brett Beasley, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Mark Walker now make up the top three in the battle for first position. Hollingsworth, as you see, still about 6/10 off of the driver of the 69. Saving those tires as Mark Walker hits the wall coming out of the tunnel turn. We saw Nate Siefker do that a little bit earlier on. And the question is, we'll go down the straightaway, see if that car is tracking properly, and it looks like it is. Might have a small right-hand down situation, but nothing too severe on that 0-0. Take a look off the back. There is the gap between he and Jeffrey Roulette behind him, and Walker has been consistently quicker than the driver of the 66. Last 2 laps, or the 2 laps prior to this most recent one, gaining over a half a second a lap. As, boy, a real big let off there from the driver of the 0-0. To avoid hitting the wall, he's going to lose all of that time back now as Darren Ganji, getting a good run off of turn 3, tries to take it to Jeffrey Roulette. Roulette has the momentum on the outside line, is able to fend him off. As now this becomes a 3-way battle for the 3rd position, and Roulette is going to go right to the inside. He will take that 3rd position away from Mark Walker. Might have been a fuel or a tire saving strategy for Jeffrey Roulette to start falling back a little bit earlier on in this run, as we got a nice little gaggle of cars here. Dan Brasington in the 29, right in the middle of it. Paul Crumry trying to peek his nose under the 29. Jackson Bell in the 2 behind him. That's Michael Sturgel right in front. Well, now 2 cars in front. Is, boy, Paul Crumry really getting a great advantage being on that inside line now. Crumry trying to put a move on Bell, now having to fend off Dan Brasington. This is just at the back end of the top 10 between these guys. Brasington able to pull the move off, as Brasington now going to the inside of Jackson Bell as Sturgill looks ahead towards Mike Grandy. And contact between the 2. That is the 2 of Jackson Bell around in turn 1. Caution is out. Well, you said how much the car on the inside pushes up here, and that one looked more like Bell coming down on Brasington. Take a look at it again from another angle. Is Bell, yeah, that looked as though Bell was coming down. Try it one more time, maybe a little bit closer. This is just before, this is the lap before. to. Again, you can see that's Brazenton gets a great run here coming off of turn 3. He's able to get to the inside of Bell, and yeah, that's, we can see Brazenton start to float up the racetrack, but it was more Bell coming down than anything that brings out that caution flag. And that will leave Brett Beasley in the race lead in that number 69. So we'll see who comes into pit road. It will be the top half of the field. Brazenton coming in. Paul Crumry, the first of the drivers to stay out and lead a lap. And I'm sure Brazenton is coming in because he does not know the extent of the damage on that number 29. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure he would have stayed out. Now, it's been an unfortunate running gag here recently on ESPN, especially now that we've had Nate Siefker in the booth for the iRacing East Super Speedway races, and he's done a couple of Western States and USRA races with me over the course of these last couple of weeks. One of the more impressive stats coming out of last season was that Dan Brazenton had completed far and away the most laps out of anyone on the roster for Sim Racer's Edge. Unfortunately, of all of those laps that he completed, which was darn near every single lap run last year, he did not lead a single lap. And boy, if he would have stayed out there, depending upon the damage that he had, that would have broken that string. So that's going to be one of the stories that we are going to be following all season long. And Brazenton certainly looks as though he has the car to be able to lead here tonight if he's put in that situation. But right now, the current leader is the driver of the number 3, Paul Crumry. And he has Rick Ravon, Nate Siefker, Yari Brupatcher, and Chris Simard behind him. Of the drivers that are currently sitting in the top 10, will really extend this pit graphic here for you as we get set to go back to green flag racing. Really extending this pit graph. There are the laps that those drivers had come in. Bob Lacavara is showing he has not come into pit. I believe he came in on lap 46 with the drivers that are ahead of him. So you can see the tire difference between the top 10 drivers. And Brett Beasley, currently sitting in the 8th position, has the best tires out of anyone. It's the first car with the best tires in the top 10. So Paul Crumry, for the first time tonight, will lead the field down to get this race back underway. We do have 5 retirements. Well, 4 retirements, pardon me, tonight. Chris Walker, the first retirement. Kyle Milliken, Ernie Ludwig, and Jackson Bell right now are the 4 retirements here this evening. Johnny Antonucci right now still sitting on pit road. He is 5 laps down at this point. Still have 28 cars circulating Pocono Raceway here tonight for the opening round of the Sim Racer's Edge Alpha Series. Kentucky scheduled for next week. That, I'm sure, will be a ton of fun. As we are about to get green flag racing once again here from Pocono. Paul Crumry leads them down. We are at the century mark, 100 laps to go here at Pocono. You see already guys starting to fan out in the mid-pack. Right around Mark Walker, and this is for the 10th position is Walker. Jeffrey Roulette, of course, we know the speed of Roulette. We know the speed of Butch Davis. Also up there, the 11 of Bob Lacavara. He's trying to fend off Brett Beasley, who is trying to get a pass done on the outside line. Lacavara in that number 11, Carl Burke, who we've seen involved in a couple of accidents. And boy, Chris Samard got really close to the turn 3 wall on exit. Doesn't appear to be any damage on that number 77. As you can see up there towards the front, Nate Siefker and Rick Ravon having a little bit of a dispute over second position. Ravon has it, Siefker wants it. Yari Brupatcher is right behind them in that number 89. Waiting to see as these three are right on top of each other here for the race lead. Ravon looking for his first lap's lead of this second season. Was on pole and led a vast amount of the races he participated in at the end of last year. He is now back to the race lead here in season 2. And this could be dangerous for the rest of the field because, again, we saw how good Rick Ravon can be last year. Expecting Ravon to be one of the major title contenders for Nate Siefker's championship as Paul Crumry takes a big dive going into turn 3. Can he hold it on exit? He cannot. And Ravon trying to break that draft successfully does. Now Nate Siefker trying to get Ravon's toe to get around Paul Crumry, and will appear to at first, and then Crumry with that outside line able to keep Siefker at bay. As you see, looking behind a little bit further, that is a battle for the 8th position. Bob Lacavara trying to fend off Mark Walker and Butch Davis. Walker's had a fantastic car here tonight. Started in the 7th position. And he's been right up here in the top couple of positions. As Rick Ravon now coming under fire from Paul Crumry going into turn 1. It was a big move that unfortunately is going to lead to nothing for Paul Crumry other than a defense from Nate Siefker. Boy, Crumry really pushing up in the tunnel turn. Forcing Siefker to need to let off. Looking to go to the rear. There we go. As Crumry, and you can see the run that Siefker got coming out of turn 3. And Siefker will have the position made going into turn 1. Crumry is going to try to get it back on the inside line. He won't have the push off the corner. Able to keep it down, though. Has a great run out. But Siefker still able to clear that number 22. A little bit further back, Butch Davis and Darren Ganji. Davis on the inside, Ganji on the outside. And boy, that could have been disastrous. And the man who takes full benefit from that is going to be Bentley Glazer in the 87. Remember, we were talking about Glazer pulling off during one of the caution flags here recently, getting himself caught a lap down. He is back on the lead lap, and with that move on Butch Davis, gets himself back into the top 10. Currently running in the 10th position is Bentley Glazer. A little bit further ahead, Jeff Hollingsworth trying to keep Chris Samard in the number 77 at bay. Able to pull out a little bit of a gap. Race lead now coming under fire as Rick Ravon coming under a lot of fire from Nate Siefker. And again, Siefker not racing for a championship this year. He's on a title defense this year, looking to keep the championship, and he will take the lead on the inside line going through turn one. But Rayvon's going to have the preferred line going into the tunnel turn, and a great run off the corner to help him. Rayvon right back to the lead. Right on board here with Nate Siefker. Rayvon off to his right. Get a look, and there's Rayvon. Gets that great run off the outside, has that momentum coming off the corner, and Siefker's forced to dive right back in. The inside line around here is the preferred line in 1 and 2 if you're running by yourself. If you're trying to make a pass on the inside line and have somebody up on the outside of you, it is very much not the preferred line, since you need that room to run up and off the corner. A little bit further back, this is Jeffrey Roulette and Bentley Glazer battling for the 10th position, as it looks as though Paul Crumry, has brought it into the pits. Now Crumry, on the graphic we showed you during the caution flag, Crumry last came in on lap 39. So that was 31 laps on this tank of fuel for Paul Crumry, and that leaves now Hollingsworth battling with himself, trying to chase down Carl Burke, and as a matter of fact is doing that at the rate of about a tenth a lap. Between these two, and I believe somebody else is coming to pit road. Somebody has. It is Yari Brupatcher has taken it pit side. Bob Lacavara has taken it pit side as well in the number 11. There's Bob. So guys coming in with roughly 30 or so laps on their tires now, starting to make moves towards pit road. This is the battle for the 10th position right now, as Brett Beasley has actually lost that 10th position to Will Fletcher, trying to fend off Charles Woods and Michael Sturgel in a battle for 11th. And the caution has come out. Try to find out what happened there. See, Mike Grandy Grandy looks fine. Oh, sorry, that's Arrington, pardon me. Oh, Mike Grandy is the one that had the issue, and he was racing with Tyler Vickery right before the caution came out. So let's see what happened with these two. Oh, that wasn't Vickery. That's actually Bloom in the 98. And that, unfortunately, will be a race-ending incident for Bloom. Tyler Bloom, who has already used the fast repair tonight. That should be a race-ending incident for him, unfortunately. So we are back under caution here at Indianapolis. Pace car just being caught up to by the leader now. Nate Siefker taking the lead back just prior to the caution, and just after the caution came out, Rick Rayvon had taken it back. Siefker being in the lead at the time of caution, it will be Siefker who is out in front. So with that, we are going to take a quick break. We will show you the pit cycle under break. We'll be right back with more of the opening race for Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series right after this. Back to live action after the pit stop, and I think the graphics department's about to have a little bit of fun because Dan Brazington has led a lap here in Sim Racer's Edge. And now, I mean, apart from having led a lap, now Nate can't rib him on the broadcast anymore. So congratulations, Dan Brazington. You led a lap. It was under caution, but it counts just the same. And he has certainly had a fast enough car to be able to get up to the front and stay there. We saw how good he was in the mid-pack earlier on. So Brazington, I wouldn't be surprised if Dan's able to stick up there for a while. So it'll be Dan Brazington leading them down under caution, leading them down to restart the race. To reset the top five, it will be Dan Brazington, Yari Brupatcher, Paul Krumrie, Nate Siefker, and Rick Ravon. Those are the top five. Everybody except for Brazington, Brupatcher, and Krumrie came into pit road. Brupatcher came into pit under green flag on lap 70. Same with Paul Krumrie, who came into pit on lap 69. Dan Brazington has been out on his tires since lap 58. So as we get set to go back to green flag racing, Brazington leads them down. A great jump from Paul Krumrie in the third position. Not able to pass prior to the start line on the inside at least. And we are back to green flag racing as there was an incident in the back. As that's Tyler Vickery without a front wing. Well, I wonder what happened there. It was Kevin O'Brien, and the caution flag has come out. Boy, and I'll be interested to see what happened there with Tyler Vickery. Well, there was another car on the outside there stopped, and we'll try to figure out what happened there. But on the restart here, let's see what happens with Vickery. It's Jeffrey Bogan in front of him. Field gets going and then just stops. And then we follow that along a little bit. Tyler Bloom, we're still under green flag conditions here. Tyler Bloom comes into turn one and just goes straight on. And it's Bloom who was the cause of the caution. Here on lap 76. I do want to go back and we'll look at it one more time here, this time from the point of view of Vickery. You can see the rest of the field get running here. And then the rest of the field just checking up, and unfortunately, Vickery was already off and running. Not able to hold back on that restart, as now Dan Brazington will come into the pits. Smart pit stop here, and I wonder if he heard me under the last caution as to why he came in now, or as to why he stayed out there. As Brazington hits his stall, that will leave the lead of the race to Yari Brupatcher, who was able to fend off that great start from Paul Krumrie. So that will now leave Brubhatcher, Crumrye, Ravon, Siefker, and Hollingsworth in the top 5. Currently, biggest mover of the race is the man who leads the race right now. Brubhatcher up 20 positions from his 21st starting position. Up now into the race lead. Working lap 78 of 160. Full 400-mile race here tonight for the season opening race at Pocono. Next week, for Sim Racers Edge, we head to Kentucky. 167 laps at Kentucky Speedway, and a track that will certainly be all about lines and managing your tire wear. Then after that, it will be Monza on the 17th day of February, a week off on the 24th. Then we're right back at it at Worldwide Tech Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway, for round 4 of the season, the Daytona Road Course, Homestead Miami Speedway, the Charlotte Roval, Chicagoland, Spa-Francorchamps, before we get to another break. Spa is on April 7th. Take an off week on April 14th. Then it'll be Michigan, Iowa Speedway, Silverstone, Texas, before a break on May 19th. The final 3 races of the year, May 26th. Mark that on your calendars. That will be the 2nd annual Sim Racers Edge Indianapolis 500. Penultimate race will be at the Milwaukee Mile on June 12th, and then we wrap up the season on the 9th day of June at Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is where we're going tomorrow night with the USRA Cup Series. As a double dip tomorrow night, USRA Cup Series at Atlanta starting at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Then it will be the Dirty Old Bastards 410 Cup Sprint Car Series, at USA International at 9. Then on Friday night, it will be the iRacing East Super Speedway Series at Daytona in the Xfinity cars. And then on Saturday, to round out the week here on Sim Racers Edge, just prior to the Super Bowl, will be the E-Formula 3.5 series from Spa-Francorchamps. And then coming up on Monday will be the season debut, will be the beginning of the season, the duels at least, for the iRacing East Series Monday Night Cup Series season. We have them back on ESPN and could not be prouder of that, as Brubhatcher gets a good start, leaving Paul Crumrye and Rick Ravon in the dust. We are back to green flag racing here with 81 laps to go, as we are right at the halfway mark. And look at this move here by Mark Walker, trying to get down on the inside of Carl Burke, does successfully. And boy, Nate Siefker almost had an encounter with the turn 1 wall. Almost knocked it down as Hollingsworth was trying to go around him. Carl Burke, however, Butch Davis, does knock down the wall in the tunnel turn. Trying to get, there we go, finally it works. And that will be, I believe we're on caution number 9 at this point. Saw it just off the back end of the screen, and that's just pushing too hard too early. But oh my goodness, Bob Lacavara took a big hit. That might have been Jason Duckworth in the 18th. We'll see from his point of view. See the wreck happen in front of him. There's Davis on the inside line. It's going to be Duckworth, who just comes up and has nowhere to go. Jason Duckworth, unfortunately, a casualty of that wreck. So again, it'll be Yari Brubpatcher in the lead of the race. So he was able to keep that. Prior to the caution coming out. With as many incidents as we've had, we do have 8 retirements here tonight, which means only 25 drivers continue to circle the racetrack. Tyler Bloom, Darren Ganji, Mike Grandy Sr., Jackson Bell, Johnny Antonucci, Ernie Ludwig, Kyle Milliken, and Chris Walker no longer participating in the race here tonight. Guys towards the midfield deciding to come in. As we work, I believe, our 9th caution of the evening. Here tonight at the Sim Racers Edge season opener from Pocono. What I would like to try to do here is maybe possibly try to bring somebody up into the booth here. We can have a little bit of a conversation with somebody just prior to going back to green flag racing here, and I think that's what we're going to do.
User was moved to
As
your
we're going to
channel.
bring in Nate Siefker here. Nate, Frank in the booth, you got me?
Yeah, I was freaked out there for a second. Yeah, I'm here.
No, I was just making sure. That's why I dropped you in the waiting room first. How is the car feeling tonight? We've seen quite a bit of incidents here tonight, and just wondering, what do you think it's setup related or just drivers getting a little too close too soon?
A bit of both. Tires take a little bit to fire in, get to the window. And then you got a little bit of, I think people are just trying to race a little too close at this stage of the race. We're only halfway through, which, yeah, it's a little long, I can tell you. But hopefully we get a nice green flag run in here. When we had that green flag run with Rick there, it was pretty good racing, I thought. And, you know, these guys are really capable of doing it. It's just a matter of getting some of these incidents squared away. And maybe, I think by now everyone's learned what their car is capable of. I got a slightly damaged car. I'll burn my fast repair at some point here later in this race, but you know, the cars are competitive. It's very racy, and you can get to the back to the front.
Yeah, we saw you clip the wall coming out of the tunnel turn earlier on in the race. What are you expecting here for the rest of this race, hopefully out of your car? You said you're probably going to burn your fast repair here soon. What are you expecting with your car, the condition it's in right now?
It's in right now. I can compete pretty well. I can get to the lead if I need to. I don't really need to yet. Right now I have a top 5 car. When I get my fast repair, I think I have a race-winning car. So it's just going to matter on how this race progresses. I think strategy is going to start to get to a major factor. It was a big factor there in that middle stage of the race. So be interesting to see. We're going to go back to green. Hopefully put on a good show for you.
All right. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll get you back in where you're supposed to be.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, guys. Hopefully you guys have a great broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
I hope that was where he was supposed to be right there. If I remember right, that's where he was. I really hope I put him. I really hope I put him in the right chat channel. But anyway, we go back to green flag racing here. As boy, that was Jeffrey Roulette, who got a great run on that start. Yari Brubpatcher, a little bit of a slide on the restart. Paul Crumry really had to let up, did Crumry, to avoid hitting the wall in turn one. And that will allow Rick Ravon to get to the inside of him, but still in the back of the field, Jeffrey Roulette not content to sit behind. That is Chris Simard in the 77. Michael Sturgel right behind him. This is a battle for the 8th position between these drivers. Just behind them is William Fletcher. We saw him in an incident earlier on, as Roulette going for it on the inside of Simard. And he will not be able to make that pass. Instead, he will be going on the defense, as Sturgel gets to the inside of him, but is not going to be able to keep the nose under him going into the the tunnel turn, pardon me. Look up a little bit further here. That is Mark Walker in the 00, trying to stick behind Carl Burke. Trying to stick ahead of Carl Burke, trying to close down on the man we just spoke to, Nate Siefker. It's Nate in that 22, starting to work that middle line, and he said the car is pretty loose here on fresh tires, on cold tires. Taking a second for them to come in. Still Yari Brupatcher in the lead of the race. Rick Ravon, Paul Crumry, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Nate Siefker. Your top 5 here, as Crumry trying to fend off a fight from Jeff Hollingsworth, trying to break that draft. And Hollingsworth will not be close enough prior to entering turn one to try to make a move. Rick Ravon in the same situation up there in the 2nd position, trying to latch on and slingshot past Yari Brupatcher. And he will do just that, going into the tunnel turn and heading out. Ravon into the race lead. Hollingsworth and Siefker a little bit further behind them. A nice little battle. Again, this is for the 5th position. Going back even further, that is Dan Brazington on the inside of Charles Woods. Boy, that got close coming out of turn 3, as Timothy Bates in the 14th position in the number 6. Now taking that away from Dan Brazington. Brazington able to take it back in turns 1 and 2, Charles Woods. Now the next driver ahead of him, Bentley Glazer as well. The first time we've seen him in Sim Racers Edge the Alpha Series. In a points-paying situation. We saw him very briefly, though, at the 50-50 race at Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago. That was won by the man who currently leads the race, Chris Simard. Coming under pressure. Again, this still for the 8th position from Jeffrey Roulette. Roulette really having to let off on that inside line just to be able to make corner exit, and that's really hurting his ability to try to make a pass and get a slingshot. Jeff Hollingsworth still staying away from Nate Siefker. This is the battle for the race lead here between Rick Ravon and Yari Brupatcher. Ravon breaking that draft. Now, as we had mentioned before, there is a no snake rule here in this series, which that move right there from Rick Ravon was legal. You're able to make one move to the left to try to break the draft and then come back up to the right to take the corner properly. The issue comes when you try to go left, right, left, right, left, right, and start weaving down the straightaways. So everything Ravon is doing right now is 100% legal to the rules that were laid out prior to this race. So he makes the one move down, comes up to take the line for the corner, as Nate Siefker trying to do the same behind Jeff Hollingsworth. right on board here with Jari Brubpatcher. You can see him try to break that draft, go down to the inside, then come back up to the racing line to take the corner, 100% legal. And again, the problem comes when you start moving left and right, left and right, left and right to try to break that draft. Brubpatcher having a really good night here tonight. These guys are pretty well on the same pit strategy. As we'll take a look here at what the drivers in the top 5 have been able to do, as Brubpatcher coming under fire from Paul Krumrye is able to defend the position. See, there is the pit strategy for these drivers. Brubpatcher last came into pit on lap 70. So the graphic, again, just a little incorrect. Missing out one stint. So all these guys within 4 laps of each other on a tire and fuel strategy up here in the top 5. And the keen eye of you saw that Nate Siefker has taken over that 4th position from Jeff Hollingsworth. Mark Walker has taken over 5th from Jeff Hollingsworth as well. Siefker has the line going through turns 1. And he will now take over the final podium position from Paul Krumrye. So a little bit further back now. This is a battle for the 12th position as Dan Brazington trying to get around the outside of Michael Sturgel, and with that momentum around the outside of the tunnel turn, able to make that pass. As I mentioned before, Brazington does have a car that is capable of running up at the front of the field. He has done very well. It is worth mentioning that there are custom setups here for this series. However, it is a fixed custom setup, which means that the setup is provided by the league. And all of these drivers are running that same custom setup. So this is not, this is a setup that is a little bit different from the bog standard iRacing Dallara setup for this racetrack. As Jari Brubpatcher able to fend off a fight from Paul Krumrye in the 3. These two battling for the 2nd position. Brubpatcher losing a little bit of time to Paul Krumrye, as now Krumrye gets to the inside of Brubpatcher going into the tunnel turn and will make the pass. Paul Krumrye, but we saw him running in the mid to the back of the pack a lot last season. Having a great run here in the season opening race at Pocono. As now Brubpatcher is going to take it into the pits. What a big slide, is going to be able to get it down. To pit road speed is Brubpatcher, and that is, for Jari, 26 laps on this tank of fuel here, so we could be expecting green flag pit stops here to be coming fairly soon. Paul Krumrye, who came in on lap 69, you'd figure would have been the first one to duck into pit road, and we're going to see for the first time tonight how big of an advantage the undercut is around here. As still battling, this is just outside the top 10. Sturgel has the top 10. Now he's battling Bentley Glazer to try to stay in the top 10. Glazer on that outside, the red and white number 87. Won't have a great run, but is able to turn that momentum. A beautiful move by Bentley Glazer to go down to the inside. However, that cut took too much momentum away from him, not able to take that launch off of the corner and use it to try to make a move into the tunnel turn. Bentley Glazer now forced to stay in 11th. As Michael Sturgel still trying to put pressure on Dan Brazington, but Brazington starting to pull away ever so slightly. A little bit further behind them, it's Butch Davis and Will Fletcher. Will Fletcher did not have the greatest of nights last night in the Western States Racing League at Bristol. As Davis, not sure if Davis is trying to work on fuel strategy or what his thoughts are, but Butch has started to really fall back. Butch Davis started in third, was up battling for the lead with him and Jeffrey Roulette, as you see up at the front. That is Chris Simard who comes into pit road. Chris Simard last pit on lap 73, so we are starting to see drivers that pit around the same time now starting to come into pit road. Mark Walker has moved his way up into the third position. That 00 looks incredibly strong here tonight. We saw Mark Walker really pick it up towards the end of last season. He's trying to carry that momentum over here into this season. Currently running in the third position. Started in 7th, has been a fixture up here in the top 10 all night long. Brett Beasley into pit road. Jeffrey Bogan into pit road as well. Dan Brazington and Michael Sturgel still having a battle coming out of turn 1. There's a 3.3 second gap to the driver ahead of Dan Brazington, who happens to be the 66 of Jeffrey Roulette. Here he is. Leaders coming in. Rick Ravon hits pit road. Paul Crumry in pit road as well. So first and second both come into pit road. And that's what, 28 laps for Ravon, and about 32 laps, 32 laps for Paul Crumry. So a very good stint for the driver of the 3, Crumry. Carl Burke in pit road as well. Mark Walker currently leading this race. Nate Siefker dives for pit road. You see those yellow cones right at the pit wall. That is the pit entry line. Your pit road speed limiter hits right then. Charles Woods in pit road as well. Watching the race leader, Mark Walker, Jeff Hollingsworth, Jeffrey Roulette right now, the top 3. Pit stops trying to cycle out. First driver to come into pit road was this man, Jari Brupatcher, who came into pit on lap 95, 5 laps prior to Paul Crumry and Rick Ravon. And you can see where Rick Ravon is in relation to Jari Brupatcher. There is a 4-second difference between the 5 and the 89. So right there, pretty good depiction that the undercut is not going to be as strong here as it would be at some other racetracks this season. Is now the top 3 coming in, all in unison. Mark Walker, Jeff Hollingsworth, Jeffrey Roulette, Michael Sturgel in, and this will give Dan Brazington the race lead back. Now Brazington can go a little bit longer than these guys. Brazington came in under the caution on lap 77. So Dan can go a little bit longer here. Of the drivers in the top 6 right now, both Butch Davis and Michael Bourne came in on lap 81. So those guys still have quite a bit of maneuvering to do as far as pit strategy goes. And Brazington's going to come in now. He might get past going into pit road. He does get past going into pit road by Bentley Glazer. What a move by Glazer into pit lane. William Fletcher in with them. And that will seat Butch Davis with the race lead. Timothy Bates, there he is in the number 6, who came in on lap 77. He would be logically the next one to pit in this group. Timothy Bates won the season opener last year. He is into pit now. Big lockup of the fronts there as we look back to effective race lead. Rick Ravon has a 1.5 second lead now over Nate Seifger, who just took the effective second position away from Paul Crumry. There's Crumry in the 3. That is Mark Walker. The next position behind him, right behind Paul Crumry. Right behind Paul Crumry, I believe, is Matt Arrington. It is. Then behind them are the drivers running for position. Mark Walker, Jeff Hollingsworth, Yari Broadpatcher, and Jeffrey Roulette. There is Matt Arrington, one of the several series debutantes here tonight. And I believe shy of Bentley Glazer, and I think Glazer might have had a pit penalty. Because Glazer is still in his box. He did. He must have sped on pit exit. Or did he speed on pit exit? No, because it was 29 seconds. I'm not sure what happened there to Glazer. As now the top 2 are in. There's Butch Davis coming into pit road. Michael Bourne stopping in his box for FBR Racing. And that will now hand the lead of the race over to Rick Ravon. Second place, however, is up for debate as Paul Crumry takes that position heading into turn 1. Seifger's going to try to get the run. Coming out of the corner and on to Long Pond straightaway into the tunnel turn, and he will get it back. So a great move from Crumry to gain the position going into 1, and unfortunately loses it going through the tunnel turn. He's still not done trying for this second position on Seifger, but Seifger's going to get the run. Right on board with Crumry. See what kind of run he can get going into turn 1 as a nice pull. Going into turn 1. Watch the run Seifger's going to get, though, having the momentum in that high line. Break that draft, and he's going to break it successfully as Paul Crumry will maintain that second position. A little bit further in the field here, Mark Walker and Jeff Hollingsworth battling over the 4th position. This right now, after the pit cycle, the closest battle on track minus the battle ahead of them for the second position. Nice long green flag run. This is by far and away the longest green flag run we have had tonight. And it comes at a little bit of an awkward time because, as you can tell, by the last pit stops, and as I've said several times, can get 25 to 30 laps on a full tank of fuel. A lot of these guys pitting with 60 laps to go would split that run essentially in half. Now the question is, if this race does stay green the rest of the way, do you make the first stint your fuel-saving stint, or do you make the second stint the fuel-saving stint? again, that's providing this race goes the rest of the way. Rick Ravon had a 1.5 second lead when he took the race lead over. He has now pulled that out to 2.4 seconds over Nate Siefker and Paul Krumrie, who are still having a battle. Krumrie once again looks to take the position and does going into turn one. He will clear and slide up in front of Siefker. And just as Sturgel tried to do, Siefker is going to try to take that momentum, and unfortunately it's not going to work out for him. Krumrie able to hold on to that second position. Battle here at the back of the top 10. These drivers running in 9th and 10th, Butch Davis and Dan Brazington. Davis in 9th, Brazington in 10th. See the difference between the lap times. Red lap times meaning the driver in front is quicker. Green lap times meaning the driver behind is quicker. See the lap difference coming out of the pit cycle. This here being a full-on battle for the 9th position as Davis, Brazington, and Fletcher behind them lurking. To give a show of where these drivers are around the track, we'll put their car numbers up. 5 going into turn 1 would be your race leader. And pretty well spread out as the next car that Ravon will catch is Ron Hollifield. As Krumrie and Siefker still continue to do battle as they get around the lap car of Bob Lacavara. That's another thing we've seen with this series is the green flag cycle of pit stops, in which we're pretty much halfway through this green flag run, really spreads these drivers out with how aggressive you want to be on pit road entry. One guy who has started to make a move back up towards the front is this man, the driver of the 66, Jeffrey Roulette. Again, Roulette starting on the pole tonight, currently running in the 7th position, trying to chase down Jari Brupatcher, who in turn is not all that far away from Jeff Hollingsworth. There he is in the Coast Guard number 97. As boy almost hit that wall coming out of turn 3. And that's arrow wash there is really all that is. As Brupatcher now makes it 3 wide going into turn 1. They split Bob Lacavara. Roulette goes around Lacavara on the outside. And that's certainly one way to dispatch of lap traffic. As Roulette now makes a late move going into the tunnel turn, not able to make it stick, however. As these three continue to battle for the 5th position. Hollingsworth, Brupatcher, and Roulette. Brupatcher starting back in the 21st position here tonight, and Roulette now trying to make that move stick. Not a move we've seen successful a bunch here tonight, but when you can get that run coming off the bottom of 1, it certainly seems as though you just really stall out incredibly quickly when you don't have that draft in front of you. Not missing anything up at the front, this man, Rick Ravon, currently holds a comfortable 2.5 second lead over Nate Siefker. As that is Ron Hollifield between Ravon and Siefker. There is Nate Siefker, with Matt Arrington between him and the 3rd place driver, Paul Krumrie, a 1.5 second gap between Siefker and Krumrie. Mark Walker, there you see him in the picture. A little bit more than a half a second behind Crumry and about 7/10 of a second ahead of Jeff Hollingsworth behind him. That rounds out the 5th position as Jari Brupatcher bails to pit road. Again, Brupatcher came in on lap 95, and at this point in the race, Brupatcher is really hoping for a caution because he cannot make it from here on this one tank of fuel. Expecting the pit window to open around lap 128 is when we're expecting this pit cycle to really kick off, but you need to make it to 130 at least if you want to be able to make it the rest of the way. There are some drivers who are clear on that order. Butch Davis came in on lap 107. He is clear. Timothy Bates came in on lap 105. He currently sits in the 11th position. Michael Bourne came in with Butch Davis on lap 107. So he should be clear to go on just one more stop. However, you can see looming in the background there is Rick Ravon, who is now about to catch up to the driver of the 89, Jari Brupatcher, who just came out of pit road. Closest battle on track right now is the battle for the 5th position between Paul Crumry and Jeffrey Roulette. Hollingsworth has gotten around Crumry, same as Mark Walker has gotten around Paul Crumry. So this being the battle for the 5th position. The next closest battle would be the position battle right behind them between Michael Sturgel and Butch Davis, as Sturgel loses it off of turn 3, and that makes this a really interesting race as the caution flag flies. So Michael Sturgel loses it coming out of turn 3 and ends what was a nice 40 or so lap green flag run. See what happened and just pushed it too hard coming out of the corner. Fortunately for him, it wasn't a hard hit on that inside wall. But Sturgel, I'm sure, will be kicking himself and only lost a couple of positions down to 10th. As Rick Ravon catches up to the pace car coming out of turn 1. This makes it incredibly interesting here because we are working lap 123 at the moment. A pit stop here, and by the time we go back to green flag racing, we will have approximately 34 laps to go, which is outside the you can make it from here window if this race goes green. So I would be expecting everybody to come in here The only one that might be a question is Jari Brupatcher, because Jari just came into pit road and needs to make one more stop regardless of what everyone else needs to do. And yup, everybody coming in. It's Bob Lacavara staying out, Arrington staying out. As expected, only lap cars staying out right now. And Yari Brupatcher stays out as well, which again, as expected. Ravon, the first one in his box. As we'll see what this race off of pit road provides, and then we'll take our final break of the evening. Mark Walker able to jump Jeff Hollingsworth on pit exit. Jeffrey Roulette able to jump Paul Crumry on pit exit as well. So with that, Yari Brupatcher assumes the race lead. And when we return, we will bring you the finale of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Season 2 opener from Pocono Raceway in what has turned into a fuel mileage contest. Back right after this. Tonight's broadcast of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series is sponsored by DiecastNuts.com. Post your own diecast collection, add or trade to it in the shop, and see other members' collections at DiecastNuts.com and on Facebook at DiecastNuts. And by Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is one of the leading setup builders for the iRacing community. Find dirt and asphalt setups, tuning guides, fuel sheets, and much more at RocketRacingSetups.com today. And by our series sponsors, Turn Racing. Turn Racing is merging the gap between sim sports and motorsports. Head on over to turnracing.com to take your sim racing equipment and ability to a professional level at an affordable price. Getting set to take the green flag here with 34 laps to go. Yari Brupatcher leads them down and away. Rick Ravon sitting in the second position. Nate Siefker in third. Mark Walker fourth. Jeff Hollingsworth in fifth. Nobody can make it from here on this tank of fuel if we stay green the rest of the way. And the caution does come out. Try to see where this was. It might have been Dan Brazington involved. We'll try to pick it up, and unfortunately it's not allowing it. There's Bentley Glazer in the wall, exit of turn one, and that's with Michael Bourne and Bentley Glazer. So this is where, if you are a driver, oh, and there goes Glazer again. See what happened there with Bentley. Just loops it. As if he's got a tire flat, just loops it. So as Bentley makes it to the pits now, Jari Brupatcher still in the lead. Nothing changed up in the top 5. And this is the part where if you are a driver, you are turning the engine down as low as you can turn it, leaving the car in 6th gear, and are trying to use as little revs as possible. If you're Jari Brupatcher, it doesn't matter what you do here in this situation, really. You are needing to come into pit road. If you're Rick Ravon, however, Ravon sitting in 1st gear. Let's try and see if we can get in to see. This is what he is seeing. And unfortunately, we're not getting an engine mode time on that wheel. See, the 2 red boxes to the left are the front and rear anti-roll bar, which is something you can change in the car. The 3rd box from the left, that is the weight jacker. Which is another in-car adjustment. Fuel position, so I think he's in engine mode 0 right now, if that is something we'll show. Miles per gallon, he certainly would not be showing 0-0 on miles per gallon, and then his race position currently 2nd is what those boxes on the bottom of the steering wheel are. Let's see what Nate Siefker is deciding to do. He's still showing... He's showing 1st gear as well. It will show the specific gears, and it does look as though these guys are running in 1st gear at the moment, unless that is a little bit of a trick with what the replay camera is allowing us to see in iRacing. And those in-car, those steering wheel screens here in these Indy cars, they don't necessarily show you the full story. It's much in the same way the dash in, say, a GTE or a GT3 or one of the LMPs will show on a replay camera. We're in here as a spectator to where we don't show up on timing and scoring when we do these broadcasts, and when you're a spectator, you get to see, you get a limited view of what you can see as it relates to driver information, which is why we're seeing zeros on the miles per gallon, and could be why we're seeing a 0 in fuel position on that steering wheel as well. We can see things such as push to pass. We can see things such as the anti-roll bar, I believe. No, actually, we cannot see the anti-roll bar because I don't think there is a position 0 for the anti-roll bar. So those are adjustments we can't see on the spectator cam. So those are different from what the drivers are going to be able to see in the session. Now, if we were in the session, not only would we show up on timing and scoring, but we would also be able to show you that information, what these drivers are doing. So we will get set to go back to green flag racing. With 31 laps to go, Jari Brupatcher leading the field. Rick Ravon, Nate Siefker, Mark Walker, and Jeff Hollingsworth currently running in the top 5. Jeffrey Roulette, Paul Crumry, Butch Davis, Will Fletcher, and Timothy Bates sitting in the top 10 positions. Pace car once again getting set to roll on off. We will restart this race from high above Pocono Raceway. Pace car makes the wide left turn down. Brubhatcher gets on the gas immediately, and we are racing here at Pocono. In 31 laps to go. Jeffrey Roulette coming under fire from Paul Crumry, and he will make the move stick this time, for the moment at least, as he had to let up coming out of turn 1. And he's going to lose 2 positions in an attempt to gain 1. Crumry losing positions to both Jeffrey Roulette and Butch Davis. Yari Brubhatcher still in the lead as Nate Siefker and Rick Ravon battle it out behind him for the second position. Siefker trying to get as much of a draft, trying to get a sniff of that draft off of Brubhatcher. Not enough to get him side by side with Ravon. 30 laps to go. Jeff Hollingsworth trying to put a move on Mark Walker, you see in the background. Ravon able to keep that position from Nate Siefker. Same thing with Mark Walker and Jeff Hollingsworth. Jeffrey Roulette and Paul Crumry still battling it out. Butch Davis has gotten around Roulette. Those two were swapping positions for the race lead early on in this race. They're now swapping 6th position as Hollingsworth really had to let off to keep from hitting the wall coming out of turn 3. Butch Davis is going to get to the outside of him. And Davis with a great run. Hollingsworth did get a very good run, though, coming out of turn 1. Will he be able to make it stick going through the tunnel turn? This could get close on exit, give each other plenty of room. Crumry almost hits the wall in the background. And Butch Davis is going to make the pass going into turn 3 on Jeff Hollingsworth, and now Hollingsworth going to have to deal with Roulette behind him. Race lead has changed. Rick Ravon gets out in front of Yari Brubhatcher. Brubhatcher trying to hold it on the inside line. He will take the lead. He will push up and will maintain the race lead. Will Yari Brubhatcher? Now here comes Ravon on the attempt. Right on board with Nate Siefker watching the battle in front of him. Ravon takes the lead going into the tunnel turn. Tries to break the draft, swings up, and now Siefker trying to make a move on Brubhatcher. There's Brubhatcher. Side by side with him, and you see how close you get coming out of these corners. Siefker on the inside. Will he be able to make that move stick? Brubhatcher has the preferred line for side-by-side racing, and Brubhatcher's able to hold it. But remember, Brubhatcher has 5 lap older tires and 5 laps less fuel than these drivers in front of him. Now, they would have saved a lot of fuel under this last caution flag. These are almost 2-minute caution laps here. You can save a lot of fuel in 2 minutes, but unless they're running lower fuel mixes now, I certainly don't see Brubhatcher saving 10 laps worth of fuel, roughly, to try to make it to the end. I still assume that these guys are still a pit stop away from being able to make this race, make it to the end of this race. 25 laps to go now. We're at the very base of the pit window, so if you came into pit now, you'll certainly make it on a full tank. And again, with the way the fuel limit is set up, only 81% fuel they're allowed to fill these cars with, as we see a battle for the 4th position here between Mark Walker, Butch Davis, and Jeff Hollingsworth, pardon me. Walker will lose out on both of those positions. Hollingsworth trying to battle back on the inside line. Though Hollingsworth has had quite a bit of trouble pushing up coming out of turn 3. Does the same thing there, has to move back behind. As boy, that was one car, I think that might have been the 19 of Michael Bourne, who had to really move to the inside. Coming out of turn 3. Battle for the 4th position. Butch Davis, Jeff Hollingsworth, Mark Walker. Wow, that front end did not look stable for Jeff Hollingsworth going into turn 3. As I think Nate Siefker has come into pit road. So Siefker now can make it from here regardless. And unlike a lot of the other series we broadcast here on ESPN, there are no green-white checkers here. So if a caution comes out with about 3 or 4 laps to go, that is the race. So Siefker comes into pit. He now knows 100% that he can make it from here on fuel. That might be a race-winning move for the driver of the 22, the reigning defending champion. Watching Jeffrey Roulette, the pole sitter here for tonight, trying to get around Mark Walker for what has now become the 5th position. Seen a great run from Paul Crumry as well in the 3. He's been a fixture up in the top 10 all night long. Will Fletcher just behind him. Butch Davis now, as here comes Jari Brupatcher. We knew Brupatcher couldn't make it. So Jari seeing what Siefker did. Now in comes Tim Bates. Michael Sturgel coming in. Sturgel, a teammate. Oh, pardon me. Sturgel for VSM. My apologies. So now with more of the top drivers funneling into pit road, the question becomes, do you run as long as you can, or do you try to cover these guys off? Ravon, it looks like these guys are going to try to run as long as they can and hope for a caution. Jeffrey Roulette pulls into pit road in the number 66. Carl Burke in as well. Carl Burke, VSM teammate with Michael Sturgill. Chris Samard in for V-Speed Racing. Meanwhile, Rick Ravon leads this race. Behind him is Michael Sturgill, who again we just saw come into pit road. Ravon has a 2-second advantage over Butch Davis in second. Ravon is going to stay out. Hollingsworth, Butch Davis decides to come in. So Butch Davis pits from the 2nd position. That now gives 2nd position to Jeff Hollingsworth. I mean, and the strategy call is obvious here. Do you come in now, assuming the race is going to go green, know you can make it the rest of the way and you can push as hard as you want, or do you come in, or do you stay out as Hollingsworth comes in? Paul Crumry, you see him run right into the screen. So do you do what Siefker and Hollingsworth and Sturgill and Burke have all done and come in to push as hard as you can the rest of the way, or do you do what Rick Ravon, Mark Walker, and Will Fletcher are doing try to stretch it as long as possible to try to either one, make it to the finish, or two, come in, pit, and be able to run qualifying laps on a brand new set of tires while the rest of your opponents are on tires that are on the back end of a fuel stint. That's the option you're weighing as Mark Walker now decides to pull it into pit road. And this strategy call has been started by this man right here, Nate Siefker, who was the first one to come in on lap 137 and ensure that he could make it on the rest of the way on fuel. Top 5 sits as follows: Rick Ravon, Will Fletcher, Charles Woods, Ron Holifield, who we saw get lapped earlier on, and Nate Siefker. That is your top 5. Butch Davis and Mark Walker come out side by side. And Mark Walker with fresher tires than both of those drivers ahead of him. Davis coming in on lap 141. Mark Walker coming in on lap 143. Jeffrey Roulette is currently being shown in the 18th position. On the lead lap. Something's telling me that that's not right, unfortunately. If Charles Woods now comes into pit road, I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate. We have had a couple of hiccups with the timing and scoring tonight. Charles Woods pits from third. Again, still waiting on Rick Ravon. There is Jeff Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth being shown in 18th position, and now Rick Ravon decides to come in. So Rick Ravon pits from the race lead. Will Fletcher will stay out and lead a lap. Will Fletcher is now coming up to lap Chris Simard. So it's now Fletcher, Siefker, Holifield, Davis, and Walker, the top 5 that are on track right now. Rick Ravon is on pit exit. Where does Siefker come out? Remember, that was 1 and 2. Siefker jumps Ravon in the pits. And Ravon has Ron Holifield between him and Siefker. Holifield came in on lap 127, so he might be trying to push it to save and get the best finish out of tonight that he possibly can get. Will Fletcher staying out. Fletcher came in on lap 123 with guys like Ravon and Siefker. 13 laps to go, and now the question is, Ravon has 9 lap fresher tires and less fuel on board than Nate Siefker. How much of an advantage are those tires going to be with 12 laps to catch him? So he's going to try to get past Ron Holifield, and again, this is a battle for position between Holifield and Ravon. Ravon makes the pass rather easily. Top 3 right now: Fletcher, Siefker, Ravon. Will Fletcher currently 27 seconds in the lead. Pardon me, 26 seconds in the lead. So Fletcher is going with the B strategy, which is stay out as long as you can and then run qualifying laps on a new set of tires and virtually no fuel. Some of the guys that are currently a lap down right now, like Paul Crumry, Jeffrey Roulette, Jeff Hollingsworth, those guys will cycle back or should cycle back onto the lead lap when Will Fletcher comes into pit road. And the caution has come out. Yari Bruphatcher and Butch Davis. So that throws strategy completely out the window. Yari Bruphatcher, who is having such a good race tonight as well. And we'll see what happens. Bring out this yellow flag, as it looked like Butch Davis had lost it coming through 3. The same thing we saw Michael Sturgel do to bring out the caution prior to this, and unfortunately Bruphatcher was right there. Well, to go back to pit strategy, we know Will Fletcher is going to come into pit. Ron Holifield, if he turns the engine down, runs in 6th gear, he could possibly make it to the end of the race. He came in on lap 127, so Holifield could be safe. Again, I would be expecting Fletcher to make it from here. Pardon me, I expect Seifger and Ravon to make it from here, and I would expect Fletcher to pit here, and he does. So Will Fletcher will come into pit road. Nate Seifger will stay out. Ron Holifield, surprisingly, comes in. So one of the guys I thought could possibly stretch it and make it, Ron Holifield, decides not to try to do that. Comes into pit road, decides discretion is the better part of valor. And now, with less than 10 laps to go, that will leave Nate Seifger, Rick Ravon, Mark Walker, Michael Sturgel, and Carl Burke, the top 5. So that has certainly cycled some things around, and unfortunately I'm not sure as to why guys like Paul Crumry, Jeffrey Roulette, Jeff Hollingsworth all got caught a lap down. So busy trying to decipher what some of these guys' strategies might be that we've unfortunately lost why, and I think I found the answer, at least for Crumry and Roulette. Both of those guys caught speeding on pit entry. Looking at their pit times, both at 1:20, which can only mean one thing, and that's speeding on pit entry. Hollingsworth in pit road for 51 seconds. He might have been repairing damage on that number 97. Stopped in his box for only 16 seconds. And again, that's only a 40-second, that's a 40-second speeding penalty. So that would be what happened to Crumry and Roulette. Charles Woods also might have been repairing some damage, as he gets a wave around here after a 30-second pit stop. So we are going to restart this race with 7 laps to go. Nate Seifger, Rick Ravon, Mark Walker, Michael Sturgel, and Carl Burke, the top 5. Will Fletcher, Ron Holifield, Tim Bates, Chris Samard, and Bentley Glazer the top 10, Michael Bourne in 11th is the last driver on the lead lap. And for guys like Will Fletcher, who came in with the race lead, Ron Holifield to pit from 3rd, to only fall to 6th and 7th from 1st and 3rd, not that bad. And you have, at most, 14 lap fresher tires than the drivers in front of you. 14 laps fresher than Nate Siefker. 12 laps fresher than Michael Sturgel. Only 5 laps fresher than Rick Ravon, and 8 laps fresher than Mark Walker. Numbers aren't up quite yet, unfortunately. So as we get set to go, Siefker's going to pull that same move on the restart. Ravon, though, is not going to let him get away with it. And Siefker goes back up, tries to break that draft as much as he can. 7 laps to go. And Siefker is at a serious tire disadvantage to Rick Ravon, so he needs to try to pull as many tricks as he possibly can to try to stay in this lead. Pulls out about a quarter of a second coming out of turn 1, trying to break that draft down the Long Pond straightaway as much as he can. Michael Sturgel trying to avoid losing that 3rd position to Mark Walker. Unfortunately cannot. Sturgel with a VSN teammate of Carl Burke right behind him. Battle for the race lead, though. There's a quarter of a second separating 1st and 2nd, Siefker and Ravon. Trying to take that line away, that powerful outside line to be able to get that run, get that slingshot. Siefker will be more than willing, and a nice move by Siefker sitting right in the middle of the track, forcing Ravon to pick a side. And typically in open wheel racing, if you're going to stick to move like that, it's most likely going to be on the outside. And Ravon might have clipped that wall coming out of turn 3, pardon me. Chris Samard goes spinning into pit road. Caution is out. And depending on now, or is the caution out? No, the caution is out. And depending on now, how long it takes for them to, 1, catch the pace car, and 2, get through the pit cycle. Now our own Sam Cooper Bennett is in the race control tonight. There is an option that he has for a quick yellow. As we'll see what happened to Samard. Well, he hit the wall. He and Bob Lacavara both hitting the wall coming out of turn 3. And that is the cause for what might be the final caution of the evening, as Siefker still has not yet caught the pace car. Now he has. Pit road is open. We might have a 1-lap shootout to see who wins this race. We might. Again, no green flag. No green-white checkers in Sim Racer's Edge. It is 160 laps and done. And trying to do the quickest of quick math in my head, pit lane will be open for lead lap cars this time by. Will be open for lap down cars next time by. I can't imagine any of the leaders, Siefker, Ravon, Walker, Sturgill, Burke, I can't imagine those guys coming into pit road right now. I could maybe see Tim Bates coming in. No, he's going to stay out. Bentley Glazer and Chris Simard bringing into pit road right at the very tail end of the lead lap. This time around, pit road will be open for lap cars. I don't know. This race might be over. Doing the math, I think this race could possibly be over because we're going to need to get the pace car is going to need to come off at the end of next lap. And I don't think that's going to happen. It's once the leader catches the back of the pace car, pit lane opens for lead lap cars only. Next lap is lap down cars. Then it's one formation lap to get the free pass guys around to the back of the field. And then we go green, and unfortunately that's 4 laps, which means we would be going green just to take the checkered flag. So I think this race is over. The lights on the safety car would have to come out, would have to go out now. And we'll see the pace car here once the camera turns back around. We are going to go green. We are going to have a 1-lap shootout to try to finish this race. And again, as I had said, Sam Cooper Bennett, who's in race control, has that ability to throw a quick yellow to where it's not the length of a normal iRacing yellow. So Sam in race control had the ability to shorten this caution flag period, and he will give us 1 lap of racing to see who wins this race. As everyone thanks Sam in the chat. We will attempt, at least, to end this race under green flag. So Siefker will come around and get the green and white flag here. Ravon is going to have to be right on him on the start. Siefker, Ravon, and Walker, the top 3. Sturgel and Burke round out the top 5. One lap to decide who wins the first round of Season 2. Siefker going about as low as he can go. Green flag is in the air and immediately leaves Ravon out to dry out of the draft. Picks up 0.4 of a second before they even get to the line. White flag in the air, and that has allowed Mark Walker to make a move on Rick Ravon. Ravon's going to have that preferred line, though. Look at Carl Burke slide into the 4th position around his teammate Michael Sturgel. Ravon is going to have to make one heck of a move going through turn 3 if he wants to try to win this race. Carl Burke is going to try to make a move for the 3rd position. Ravon to the outside of turn 3. Will it be enough? Coming to the line, Ravon's in the wall. Ravon is in the wall. Siefker is going to win the race. Ravon with a broken right front suspension will come home in 2nd. And Mark Walker barely clips out Carl Burke for third. You knew Rayvon was going to have to make one heck of a move to try to win that race. And the man who has started his title defense starts it about as perfectly as you could ask. Nate Siefker, who only won one oval race all season last year, wins the first one here tonight. And it was that restart. We saw it earlier on. That restart that got him a huge jump. Does the same thing on the final two restarts and got him enough of a jump to win this race. So as Nate Siefker burns it down here, we will wait on interviews as we now have our race winner
User was moved to your channel.
in the broadcast booth with me. Nate, first win of the year, first race of the year. Congratulations. What a restart.
Yeah, I had to work. He definitely made me do my job of trying to get the win there. I mean, I definitely had to work hard to get it there. I really thought that yellow came out. I thought I was dead in the water. I had to use every trick in the book that I had to keep him behind me. So he definitely pushed me hard. It's glad to have Rick back here, hopefully full time, and it's awesome to be able to race him as hard as he can at the front.
It certainly was a great race between you two. Now, when you came in on lap 137, were you thinking that that was going to draw the rest of the field, or did you think you may have come in a little too early after you saw guys like Rayvon and Burke and Hollingsworth stay out as long as they did?
Nope, I wanted them to stay out, actually. Knew how great the tire wear was here. So I knew I could just go into the pits, fill, no take tires, and save about 4.5 seconds that way. And I wanted them to burn fuel and stay out and burn the rubber out. They had to take tires. So I thought I wanted to draw a couple, but I didn't want to draw everybody. And that's what happened. Rick stayed out as long as he did. And when I saw him take tires, because I knew he'd take tires if he was there that long, and I had a 1.5 seconds, and my lap times were very comparable. So I was like, okay, I got this now. And I just had to do lap times until the end there. And unfortunately, Butch spun out. But, if that didn't happen, I think the end result probably would have been the same. It would have been us 1-2, but a lot more stress there at the end.
I could imagine. Now, like I was saying up here in the booth, if this was a regular iRacing caution, if you didn't have the race control, you would have won the race under caution. But going into Kansas Kentucky, next week, a different racetrack. It's another racetrack where you really have to watch the tire wear. What are your thoughts going into Kentucky next week?
Yeah, I won't be able to use that strategy next week. But it's a 1.5 miles. I don't do too bad on 1.5 miles, but I don't do too great. Rick and Butch, they're really solid, and there's a lot of solid people on the 1.5 miles here in this league. So, there's a lot of talent here. I know that we had a couple yellows, more than a couple. Maybe your night a little longer than you wanted it to be, but these group of guys, they do a fantastic job. I can't thank them enough for coming out for the season opener. Hopefully we see a large group of these guys back here for Kentucky there. He got me saying Kansas now. But yeah, hopefully we see a lot of them back. Tonight I think was a learning experience for the league overall. I'm going to learn an experience for me as well.
It certainly was. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate your season opening win?
I might as well thank you first, since you're right here, my good old broadcast partner. It would have been cool if I could just broadcast the entire race in the car with you, but that probably wouldn't have worked too well with my language I use at some parts. Yeah, I gotta thank next. I gotta thank all the league all the league members for coming out tonight. Pocono is just one of those tracks that it's either hit or miss. You get a lot of green flag runs, or you get a lot of yellows. And tonight we hit the lot of yellow portion on the wheel. So hopefully we rectify that next week. I'd like to thank every single one of the every admin. Sam for being up in the race control tower. He did a fantastic job tonight. No mistakes. He nailed it on top of there. So and then thank Chris, Butch, Dan, Tim. They nail it every week. They do a lot of stuff that nobody sees behind the scenes. I post the stuff. They do a lot of the behind the scenes work. They invest a lot of time, a lot of money into this. So thank you to them. And I'd like to thank our partners, Turn Racing, of course, for being on board with us. They supply great wheels, of course, and thank all the ESBN's partners as well. They do a great job of funding you guys so that you guys are able to put on a great spectacle here.
All right, so your race winner, Nate Seifker. I will see you in the broadcast booth on Friday night.
I thought you wanted me tomorrow night.
Byron might be with me tomorrow night,
okay.
actually.
Let me know.
Yes, I will let you know, yes.
I like
definitely.
being up here. I do like being up here. Either winning or calling it. Whichever one. I prefer winning,
It took a while before we got you up here finally, but now you don't want to get out.
Yeah. Nate Hulkenberg doesn't count anymore. Unfortunately. Now I'm just a regular old guy.
You're a regular up here now. So there's your race winner.
Now I'm Nate Sadenberg or something like that, because that's... So I'll get out of your hair.
There's your race winner, Nate Seifker, bud. Congratulations.
Thank you.
User was moved out of your
so
channel.
there was Nate Seifker, who might be in the booth with me tomorrow night. Not sure. He'll definitely be in the booth with me on Friday night for iRacing East. But next we turn to our second place finisher, Rick Ravon.
User was moved to your channel.
And Rick, one heck of a race here tonight. Just unfortunately, maybe missed on the last pit stop there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was starting to reel Nate in a little bit. If that yellow flag didn't come out, I think I would have been able to catch him because I was on fresher tires. But I mean, that's just the way it goes. We'll never know if I would have been able to catch him. But that last lap there, when he played the restart pretty cagey, real slick. And went to the inside and then just like kind of juked to the outside. I didn't really get a chance to get a good run on him, and that's what cost me that win. I was hoping I'd be able to reel him in on the backstretch, the Long Pond straightaway, and maybe get him going into 2 and then Snake going into 3, and maybe I would have had it, but it just wasn't our day.
How was the car feeling for you tonight? Because in the beginning portion of the race, you were running in the mid pack, and then after that, you were pretty much up at the front the rest of the night. What was the car feeling like for you tonight?
Well, once we got the Gould charge dialed in, it felt pretty good. But to start the race, and I was practicing out there, I didn't get a lot of groups of cars to practice around, so I was kind of afraid to crank in the weight jacker because I was afraid I was going to spin and look like an idiot. So I was playing it real conservative, and I was pushing like hell, and I just kept dialing in a little bit more until I could finally, sort of stay with them in traffic, and it felt good. So we just kept dialing in the car until it felt good, and then once it felt like we were pretty stable, pretty solid, we go from there. I'm just surprised that I had to dial as much weight jacker as I had to in order to be competitive. I mean, wow.
Yeah. So, and trust me, it's really hard especially when I'm calling a race. It's hard to look dumber than the broadcaster. I'll let you know that.
I would disagree with that, man. I think you do a great job, but
thank you very much. Going into Kentucky next week, it's going to be a track where you really need to conserve tires, and you're going to be using a lot of weight jacker and anti-roll bar there. What are your thoughts going into Kentucky? What are you looking for out of that race?
Well, I just hope to finish the race. I mean, we've got a lot of guys out there, and it's a good group of guys. But usually, when you have a lot of cars on a racetrack, especially a racetrack, one of these cookie cutter 1.5 mile tracks, there's more of a chance of yellow flags the more cars that are out there. So hopefully, we get a good qualifying spot, and if there is some trouble, we can miss it. it's just a matter of getting to the end, really. You know, I'm not really sure exactly how I'm going to play this race. I'm just going to have to feel things out with the setup, the bars and a weight jacker in practice, and then just go from there.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate your second place finish tonight?
Oh, let's see. I don't know. I want to thank the guys at SRE who put this league together. Fantastic league. It's going to be in like no time at all. It's going to be one of the premier leagues in iRacing, in my opinion. Thanks to all of these guys for putting this together. I want to thank ESPN for broadcasting, of course. You up in the booth. If I fall out of the race, by the way, I want this. I want this on tape, live, where nobody can erase the tape, like Muhammad Ali used to say when he was talking about Howard Cosell. I want this live. If I happen to fall out of a race, is it okay if I come up and join you in the booth? Because I would love to do that.
Yeah, well, we can get you up here once or twice.
Yeah, sounds great. All right. On to the thank yous. Thank you to the Lord. Thank you to my wife. If you're watching, I didn't hear her screaming upstairs, so I don't think she's watching. Because normally she's watching, and it was a pretty darn good finish. She'd be like, "Go, honey, go, honey." I could hear her through the ceiling down here in my man cave. But if you're watching, honey, which I probably not, hi, I love you. Hi, Mila. Hi, Zoe. I love you with all my heart. And thanks to everybody watching. Thanks for all the support that I get on Facebook. I really super, super duper appreciate it.
All right. Your second place finisher tonight, Rick Ravon, bud. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Frank. God bless you.
Thank you. You too, sir.
User was moved out of your channel.
So that is Rick Ravon joining us from second place. Now, joining us from third place, a man we didn't speak to at all last year at the end of one of these races. Mark Walker coming home in third place tonight. Mark, how you doing, bud?
Doing fantastic. I'll start out by saying I'm sorry for bumping whoever I bumped in pit road, though. I spun out a little bit, and that I felt bad, but hopefully I didn't do any damage to that guy.
It didn't. I honestly, we may have missed that incident because I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. But for you, you were pretty much a fixture up in the top 5 all night long here, showing great pace. Had great battles with Jeff Hollingsworth all race long, and then Chris Samard you were battling with, Paul Crumrye most notably. How was your race tonight? You looked pretty busy.
Well, I really felt like I wasn't racing anybody. I mean, I just kind of did my thing, and I think Samard, when he was in front of me, I think he might have had a little bit of damage, so he was a little bit off the pace. Hollingsworth was, he was on my bumper for quite a while and had a good race, and Crumrye, I think he went for a slide and let me by him, but yeah, he was battling hard and made a huge save. But yeah, it was a fun race.
We were talking to Rick just a second ago and Nate during the race about how these cars were handling tonight. Nate said they were really slick on cold tires. Rick was saying that he was surprised how much weight jacker he needed to put into the car tonight. How were you able to work the setup to where you were able to get this podium finish tonight?
Weight jacker. I think once everybody figured that out, it was on. But yeah, the first 2 laps were brutal, and then the weight jacker had to be clear up, and then you had to back it off. About 5 laps to go in a fuel run. But yeah, you had to have that weight jacker way up, and the further you got behind somebody, it seemed like the worse the aero was. So that was something else to deal with.
So going into another track where we're expecting a lot of weight jacker and a lot of aero issues are Kentucky. Now, one of the things about Kentucky is high bank turn 1 and 2, rather flat and wide, broad turn 3 and 4. A place where you're really going to have to watch your tires. What are you expecting out of Kentucky next week?
It's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely a fun track to race. Yeah, I'm excited to go there. I love ovals to begin with, except for Motegi. But yeah, Kentucky's fun.
All right. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate tonight?
Hey, thanks to Nate and Chris for putting on a fantastic league. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I think they're doing a great job with the rules, and I want to thank Scott Brinson. He actually got me into this, and he was kind of the trailblazer for a lot of us guys, and we all have our differences, but he's a friend of mine, and I want to thank him too for getting me into it. And it's been a great night tonight. Had a lot of fun.
It certainly was a great night. Your third place finisher tonight, and hopefully we see him on the podium a lot more this year. Mark Walker, congratulations.
All right, I'm going to be first next time.
We certainly hope so.
User was moved out of your channel.
That will do it for the interviews here tonight. And boy, we saw quite a topsy-turvy race. The first half of the race, a lot of cautions, a lot of incidents. The first time these guys have all run with each other this year. For some of these guys, the first time they've run with each other ever. We did have that 50-50 race in Indianapolis 2 weeks ago. However, there were more drivers here than there were there, and there were some new names that weren't there that were here. So getting used to racing around each other was certainly one of the things these guys had to get used to. And once they did that, once they figured out how to work the setup and race around each other, it certainly became a lot better of a race to watch over the course of the night. So with that, we'll go to the results here for tonight's season opening race at Pocono Raceway. Nate Siefker, Rick Ravon, and Mark Walker, you just heard from those three. They made up the podium positions. Carl Burke, Michael Sturgel round out the top five. Tim Bates comes home in sixth position. The winner of the opener last year comes home sixth this year. Will Fletcher, Michael Bourne, Bentley Glazer, and Ron Hollifield round out the top 10. Paul Crumry, Chris Samard, Jeff Hollingsworth, Jeffrey Roulette, and Matt Arrington round out the top 15. Charles Woods, Jeffrey Bogan, and Kevin O'Brien make up the top 18. Bob Lacavara and Butch Davis, 19th and 20th. Yari Brupatcher, Dan Brazington, Brett Beasley, Tyler Vickery, and Jason Duckworth come home from 21st to 25th. Tyler Bloom, Mike Grandy, Darren Ganji, Jackson Bell, and Johnny Antonucci come home 26th through 30th. Ernie Ludwig, Kyle Milliken, and Chris Walker round out the field. So we thank you very much for making this an absolutely incredible night to start off Season 2 for Sim Racer's Edge. A great finish, a lot of drama. Fuel mileage got into it as well. So a wonderful race, and we hope to see you all next week at Kentucky. So for myself, Frank Marchese, we thank you very much for joining us here tonight, and we will see you all tomorrow night for the USRA Cup Series and for the Dirty Old Bastards 410 Sprint Car Series right here on ESPN. Good night, everyone.